Hey, Jeff Anderson here with EasyClick Flooring. Today we're going to be installing a line called Premier. Now, we also carry a line called Luxury. Our Premier line of vinyl flooring is 4 millimeters thick, and our Luxury line is 3 millimeters thick. And today we decided to go with the thicker Premier series. Now, both products are, of course, waterproof. Both products install in the same manner, which is a front click and an in click. So after we've leveled the floor, we're about ready to install. Prior to installation, we want to make sure that the flooring is acclimated to the room. That means it's got to stay in the temperature that you're most comfortable with. If you're in the winter, of course you're going to have your heat on. And during the summer, you're going to have the AC on. But we want to make sure that the temperature level during acclimation is between 65 and 78. And we want to do that for about 48 hours. So now that we've figured out which direction we're going to be installing it in the room, we've got it acclimated, a couple other key points prior to installation. Number one, we want to make sure that this is off the wall, the planks are off the wall by at least 1/4 inch. And as we start left to right, anything that goes against the wall, we want to make sure that the pieces that you start with are longer than 12 inches. In addition to that, no underlayment is required. In fact, we tell you not to put any underlayment. And the reason for that is, as you're installing the flooring, as you know that vinyl is very flexible. And you don't want any of your joints to flex at all. If you put a pad underneath the flooring, it will move and it will break the click mechanism. We always want to start with a few boxes at a time. We want to pull the planks out because the planks have a pattern, and there's certain pattern repeats. So you might have a plank here that has a knot in it, and you have an identical plank that has a knot in it. So you don't want the same pattern to be adjacent to each other or next to each other. So you want to sort of like scramble these up and get a different pattern going. Now before we start, what I always like to do, especially on the first run is the most important run, because everything gets lined up on that first row. Just get you a plank, and we score it. So easy to cut, don't even have to measure it. I like to get a few pieces, maybe 4 pieces out of a plank. Once you score it, it just basically breaks. Okay, now that we've got our first piece in place, we're going to go ahead and do the same procedure down the first run. We're going to basically click each of the end joints together. Make sure that the seams are lined up. Use that extra piece to ensure everything's lined up. Go to the next one. Now at the other end, I've taken the 16-inch piece that we're going to start with and put it on the first run of the second row. Of course, the tongue is facing towards me. Now what we're not going to do is engage the second row into the first row quite yet. We're going to do the same thing, but sort of in reverse. We're going to have more scrap pieces, but instead of having it on the back side, we're going to put it on the front side. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and click the end joints together for the second row. Instead of putting this on the back side, we're going to use it on the front side for the same reason we used it on the first row on the back side. It's to make sure that this is all lined up. Alright, I am back at the other end again at my starting point. Now that we've put our 2 rows together, now we've got to join the 2 rows. And it's a 15-foot run, but I'm going to show you how easy it is to do it with one person. This piece not only lines everything together, but it holds the 2 pieces together. And what we want to do is we just want to simply lift this first row onto the second row we've basically taken the second row and just barely put it over the edge of the first row. And notice these scrap pieces, as I was moving the planks, it holds everything together to where they don't unlock. This is going to allow us to start on this end and simply move this back and place this into the groove. Click together. We're going to simply go down and engage that first row into the second row. And notice I didn't tap it, I didn't force anything. All I did was put it into the groove, and the whole joints between the first and second row are aligned and joined. Now it's become one solid piece. And what you want to do is just take it, just work your way down, and slide it towards the wall. Until you're about 1/4 inch away from that base culvert. All right, now that we've laid the first 2 rows, we've taken the third row and just basically laid it on top of the 2 planks. We want to ensure that that first 2 rows are 1/4 inch off the wall. That's going to be covered by shoe molding or quarter round. That quarter round or shoe molding has to be nailed into the wood and not into the plank. The plank has to have room to move underneath that quarter round. The joints have to be staggered greater than 12 inches. So I've cut this at about 32 inches. That gives us more than enough space for the in-joint separation. So we're going to take that first piece and go down there to the other end and start installing just as we did with the other 2 pieces. So, once again, the tongue is towards you, and we're going to basically lay that on top of the 2 planks, and we're going to take that second piece for the third row and basically click the end joints together as we did the first 2 rows. Now we're going to take that piece that was left over from that second row, and we're going to use it to line this up as well. And we're going to just work our way down. Our third row is put together. Now it's just a matter of getting on the other side and start installing it as well. And what I'll do is I'll just slowly slide this as I'm working my way down. Now that we've slid the third row off the first 2 rows, just to the point where it lays right on the tongue, we're able to now lift and start clicking once again the pieces together.